Welcome to the Hiding in Plain Sight podcast, where we explore the transformative power of inclusivity and the strength found in vulnerability. I'm your host, Lindsey Mazza, and with each episode, together we will go on a journey of reconnecting with all parts of ourselves to foster healing and inspire a more inclusive and compassionate world for all. So grab your headphones and settle in for soul-fulfilling discussions that will make you laugh, provoke thought, and be the catalyst for growth. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hiding in Plain Sight podcast. We've got a very special episode today. I'm so excited to be sitting down with Eric Baker and Natalie Holbrook. Eric is a spiritual fitness expert, speaker, author, and so much more. And Natalie's an intuitive and professional astrologer with a focus on wealth and worthiness. And she's the founder of Holy Wealth Method. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you.
So we want to dive right in and kind of just rip the Band-Aid off and talk about how the three of us have noticed an ongoing trend that the spiritual community does not tap into what men need. Men don't feel that there's a place. They don't feel a sense of belonging in the spiritual community, and they're craving access to that. At least that's been our experience.
We all met a few weeks ago in conversation where we were like, wow, like this is something that all of us see this pattern in. And, you know, astrologically speaking, even we had Pluto literally just move into Aquarius 2 days ago. And Pluto is the sign of transformation and death and rebirth and of big shifts happening. And it's very interesting that this conversation even came up kind of right before this shift happened for the three of us, because Aquarius represents equality and it represents everyone kind of being level playing field and almost androgyny, where it's like, what is, you know, a man, what is a woman? Like, it's more about the energy and who we are and how do we break free of whatever confines. Like it said that only women go to therapy or only women go to yoga or only women do coaching. And I think we're going to see this massive shift literally over the next 20 years where it's going to be this area where there can be this like permission slip almost for men to step into this and for this rising to be able to occur. And maybe as Pluto has been moving through Capricorn, which is about the tradition, the patriarchy, that's where we started to even notice this shift, because all of a sudden, like the ways that we looked at what is masculine began to change. So it's just always like divine timing within the astrology.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I think in general, as a man, you don't feel a part of the collective or tribe or family unless you bring in value, you have status, you have money, or you're somebody. Or other than that, it's like, where do you fit in? You know, you're even, yeah, it's like you're even a winner or you're a loser. There's no in between as a man. And I can't speak for most men outside of what I do, but I know I don't feel enough if I'm not, constantly building something or creating something or evolving internally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I don't feel like I'm adding value if I'm not doing that. Whereas some men, they get away by just receiving or taking from the feminine, or maybe they was brought up where they were given things and so they didn't have to recreate too much of themselves, right? But I think in general, it's like it's funny. I have a client, he's a big time jeweler, and I was like, man, how don't you have jewelry for men? Like he said,
Yeah.
because it's the wives that come and want the big rings and the diamonds. I was like, but we like jewelry too. I like watches, a nice charm, but that goes to show you like how much men are thought about when it comes to things that we might like, right? And our emotions is something we're not conformed to be in or know to understand how to move through. Our spiritual self is not common. So even if we want to tap into those things unconsciously or nervous system wise, we don't even feel safe to express it or to embody those spaces within ourselves because it's not part of the norm. So I think with this discussion and just in general, w- like just how women need to feel safe, men need to feel safe as well. And I think we don't know how to articulate that because of the masculine feminine constructs of you're weak, you're a man, grow some balls, man up, like all these terms that's been used over years, but they do impact us. And I think it's time for men to open up, to speak, so they can heal and reveal what's been missing, so we can help the feminine, we can just help the world be better. So
Yeah, it's I think we've lived through several years of there being such a societal imbalance, right? Like we've been about empowering women, which is great and was a needed movement, but somewhere along the line the men got lost, and the men who are looking to evolve, who are looking to tap into these deeper parts of themselves, they almost feel apologetic about wanting to be part of that community because they don't want to be perceived as, oh, now I'm not supporting the empowerment of women, right? So there's this gap. And that's certainly been my experience with the men that I've come across. I don't know, it's this delicate dance, because of course they're supportive of women, and a lot of women wouldn't have been empowered without those deep men in their lives, right? So it's about being able to bring those two together.
and the biggest thing I realized by you saying that, it just came to me. What's happening is that because we're not voicing what we want to embody or become, we're actually designing it and speaking on it from how we dress, right? Instead of, so basically what I'm saying is that in life, when you want something in life on an unconscious level, there's going to be a need for it to happen, and it might scream in a certain way in a different surface. So say for instance, a man may be severely masculine and alpha, but he might dress super feminine, right? Because that part of himself he doesn't feel comfortable expressing through his voice. He'll express it through his choice of clothing. You understand what I'm saying? So basically what I'm saying is either or, it's going to come out, right? Where we're
Right.
suppressing our emotions somewhere else, we're going to express it somewhere else. And we're going to be looked at on a certain energetics based on how people are perceiving it. And I think
Right.
because it's not safe for us to voice that side of ourselves, show up in other areas that might not seem normal or comfortable for people to accept, but
Right.
doesn't mean that these men are not masculine. You get what I'm saying? Where I'm going?
Mhm.
And that's why, like, I went to a retreat this past year in Peru. There was 19 people, 16 were women, 3 were men. That
Yeah.
shows you that I know more men want to go on retreats, plant medicine retreats, and they
Yes.
are men retreats. But it's not normal for men to do that in the space, at least the space I was in. You don't hear about that. Um, but this is why I'm the one like, shh, I'll go first. I'll be the first to reveal. I'll be the first to heal. I'll be the first to speak. I can be vulnerable. I can be soft. I can be aggressive. I can be angry. I can play all parts and not have no resistance in my nervous system because someone is going to think I'm less of a man or more of a man. And I just think it's the time is now, right? I think I also have the privilege to coach a lot of powerful women, and that's heavily in their masculine. And I'm
Yes.
teaching them how to move into their feminine. And these women want love. And the interesting thing about them is that their nervous system don't know how to receive the feminine side or the nurturing side that they want because they wear too much on the external side. Get what I'm saying? So then when a man comes in their life, he doesn't think they want the affectionate side, the loving side, the nurturing side, because how they come off, right? Energetically, where they want that the most. So there's
Yes.
a battle on both parties that's not being met because we're not tapping into our full union of our divineness of the masculine and the feminine. And men, we just want to feel safe. Like literally before I got on here, people listen. I was like, oh, I want to change my shirt. The girls were like, no, leave it on, right? But here's the thing, which y'all don't understand what happened in that moment. For me, y'all made me feel safe because you said, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Instead of me saying, no, I'm a man, I'm gonna go put my shirt on, right?
Yeah.
Y'all was like, no, leave it on. We like it. It's okay. Because
Hmm.
I wanted to match what I was seeing, right?
Mm.
But that validation helped me. Oh, okay, I'm safe here. Leave your shirt on.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Like when you were talking about all of that, well, first of all, I also have to just say for everyone listening who's into astrology, Erica's a Libra rising. And so
Yeah,
there's this natural polarity of like masculine and feminine that you are really
yeah.
here to explore. And also what the rising sign in is also what we're here to teach. So it's like
Mm,
you're here to rise into that polarity of men and women. And I think also
yeah,
because of you being a Pisces, there's also this like boundless energy that can be like, ooh, I can kind of morph into this thing, and I'm okay
yeah,
being like the guy with all women because I
yeah.
can feel, I can empathize. But I loved what you said, and this just kind of struck this chord because I thought about, a lot of my male friends and previous partners that I've dated. Like, what do you feel like does make a man feel safe then? Like, and how, as women, do we get to kind of cultivate that? Because we want to bring our brothers and our partners into all of this work with us, right? Like, we want them to rise. Like, what are some ways that you feel like we could do that?
I think the first thing that all men want, they always say respect, but we really want peace. And the
Mm,
way to respect is peace. And I think the number one thing is to really understand us on a deep level. And understand that as much as women, they say want love, we want support, right? And support doesn't mean uh advice, support just it's like unconscious, right? I can tell if I'm coaching someone, I know what they need, right? So I'm gonna pay attention to like, okay, how do I make them better without trying to make them better? Like it's not like you're trying to make me better, but you want me to be better. So you show up into my life where everything you're giving me, I'm thinking like, damn, I really needed that. Like how you guys said, no, keep the shirt on. It was
mhm.
light, but it was really heavy. See, little stuff like that as a man goes a long way because we're willing to sacrifice. We're willing to give everything we got to really get the love back that we want, but we just want support. So the way women want support and affection, like the physical way, men want support in the intangible way. Words, how you show up. It's like, I come from the gym, I'm sweating. It's like, oh, there goes your protein shake, and I got you some electrolytes. And how was your gym? Your arms look nice. You know how much that's gonna make him feel? And it's like, babe, I like when you do this. I like when you do that. He might act like he doesn't matter, but I think those little things over time grows on a man and makes him wanna really be that man that he can be, or he already is. It's like I want to provide more. I'm willing to not sleep to, I want to protect, provide, and make you feel safe. But if I'm not getting that reciprocity or that energy from the sideline, then it's hard to kind of combat because it's like here it is. They say happy wife, happy life. But then there's something, a happy man is God's plan, right? So how
Mhm.
can we two come together and be in union where all our needs are being met without standing on top of each other, right? And it's really light. It's just peace, support, and get the understandings. And I think the understanding part is hard for most men because most men don't understand themselves. They only
Right.
understand themselves from a place of giving and providing, right? If I'm not giving and providing, I feel off, right, as a man. But it's a choice because how he was brought up. And granted, a man needs to feel needed. You know what I mean? We need to
Yeah.
feel needed. If we don't feel needed, we feel like, what am I doing here? So
Yeah.
I think the understanding thing is the most important thing, and peace, and you know, yeah, we just want to be understood and respected for who we are and what we do. But we also want someone to hold us accountable. Most men won't say that, but if everyone, the woman I choose, we choose as men, is going to amplify our presence and who we are based on what's in their vessel. If they have a strong vessel, they can manifest great things for us because behind every successful man, there's a woman. And whatever's happening in her vibration, she's going to give back to us so we can amplify what's in our vibration. But I think the reason the masculine has been failing us is because we go off what we see and not what we know. So we get so glorified by pretty, beauty and all these enticing things, but we're not really scanning the room or the person to see who they really are. So then you get trapped in this lust cycle or look cycle or just obsession of what it looked like and not what it really is, and then you fail because that thing that you're pulling in can't grow your vessel because that vessel is not as expanded because maybe they haven't done the work because they don't have to.
Right.
And same for some men. You look good, so you feel like you got to do less. You get girls all the time. So then you don't really work on your EQ, your emotional intelligence, and you don't really care about spirituality. So I'll leave with this. There's a quote with a young, I forgot the statistic. She was saying, most pretty women usually find a man that can provide, protect, and take care of them, usually athletes or people who make a lot of money. And then they put a baby in these women, but they never make them their wife. See,
Wow.
you get what I'm saying? Because they
Yeah.
never valued them as a wife. They value for what they look like. And
Mm.
once that look got old, they went to the next one. So over the years, we never was put in a position where we had to grow as men if we had it all to give. We just kept going from woman to woman, which is fine until it's not, because nobody wants to be by themselves and no one wants to be alone.
Right.
So
Wow.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
interesting when you said that about how, like, well, many men don't know themselves, right? And I
Yes.
feel like that's where astrology is this magical thing that I'm not gonna lie, I've been really impressed. There's been so many more men coming into astrology lately. It is
yeah.
so cool. And, just a few things like for anyone listening to this to kind of know that can support you through that is your moon sign always helps you with knowing your needs, like no
Oh,
matter what, you're going to know, here's what I need and here's my emotional way of being. So even if, if we look at all of our needs, like Eric, you have the moon in Sagittarius, Lindsey, you have the moon in Leo, right? So it's like there's these needs, especially both of you two being fire, my moon is in air and Gemini. It's like there's this need to inspire. There's this need to feel active and like, what am I doing and what am I creating? What am I building in the world? So it's like whenever
uh-huh.
people can tune into their moon sign, it can always at least give this purpose of here's what it is that I need to do to feel satisfied with myself, and how do I match someone and find a partner who can also give me that fuel for my need, that I can feel like my needs are met with that person. And then we
Uh-huh.
can also look at the Venus sign, and the Venus sign shows what you love because, looks, no matter what, looks are going to fade, right? And like we're all going to be 60 years old, hopefully someday. And like we're not
Yeah.
going to look the same as we did when we were 25 or 30 or 35 or 40, right? And when you go and you find your love through the path of your Venus, that's not going to change. Your Venus sign is what you look for. It's what you want in a partner. It's what you yearn for. It's what you desire. And so if you find someone, like for me, I have my Venus in Gemini, I need someone who I can be silly and childlike and playful with. And we can talk about all these like crazy concepts and, things like that. And if there's someone where I remember I had an ex-boyfriend. Here's why he's an ex-boyfriend. Because he was like, babe, can we just like not talk for a while? And I was like my little girl in me felt so shut down. And I was like, okay, this is not my guy. Like, I get it. Also, we don't have to talk all the time, but like, I felt so shut down. And we have
Mm.
to look at that. And I think that there's a thing for men, feeling shut down becomes a norm. And it's not okay for that. And when you can learn through your birth chart, then you can also learn how to express that. Because if this person's your partner, especially your marital partner, if this person's your spouse, like you want to know these things of like, how is it that I can support my husband or wife or whoever even more so that they can be better and I can be better and together we have a better experience. I mean, especially if you live together, right? It's like this is the most important thing that is going to affect your life. Like the most important decision of your life is who you choose to marry. So you do need to know yourself all the way first.
Yeah, and I think men are not they're they're too afraid to do this because they're fearful of judgment from their other male peers, right?
Uh-huh.
It's like this is like a weakness if I want to get into knowing myself, feelings, but it's actually such a strength, and it's certainly perceived as a strength for any woman that you're looking to,
Green
right?
flag, yes.
Right, green flag, right? You want a successful relationship with a woman. You tell her you see her soul. It is that is that's right.
Totally.
right.
Oh, I tell my
I
girlfriend
mean,
that all the time. I love your soul, baby. That's what I
that's
tell her.
right.
It's true though, because I'm in there. Yeah. Hey, how are you? Um, yeah, you know what's interesting though? Like, I examine myself a lot. And ever since I was a kid, I always felt different. And so for years, I just try to fit in because I'm like, I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be different. I don't want people to think I'm better than them. And then as I got older, I just continue to expand. I go on TV. I do all the things that people where I come from wouldn't normally do, right? And then as I've gained more clarity on like my spiritual and the evolution of my soul and who I am in this lifetime, I get the most dangerous, aggressive, hardest men coming to me for advice. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Like they come to me,
Wow.
they cry to me. So the tough guys, the bullies, they come to me with their guard down, like, E, can you pray for me? E, man, I'm going through it with my girl. I think she's depressed. Like, they coming to me. They tell me everything because I have a side of me that's strong and that is powerful, but I know also know how to hold space for all type of energies. And I'm not judging. And so for me, I know it's part of my life's work to be in astrology, numerology, to be tuned in, tapped into my feelings, my emotions. Also, I have psychic abilities because I can feel and channel things. But I think when we can really accept our true feelings and emotions as men, we can really love a woman and really build a family. Because that side of a man is nurturing, right? When we kind of allow ourselves to be free and be normal. But it was so afraid to show that to other men because we don't want to appear weak. But I tell men all the time, I say, if you act like you strong and I know you weak, I'm gonna finish you every day on any given day. I don't care how many tattoos you have, how many, because I can see it, right? That's the gift.
Yeah.
So the more vulnerable you can get with yourself as a man, the more power you hold in your soul. But because you can't see that power outwardly, you don't think it's possible. So you rather not even tap into those emotions. We're more of a tangible, physical, visual type of people as men. So if we don't see the benefit of doing a thing that's no real outcome, we're like, I'm not gonna put in the income, which is the internal work. And I think now it's more needed than ever because we're suffering, we're hurting. I know a buddy of mine that lived in my building, great guy, beautiful spirit, and he died like 3 weeks ago of a brain aneurysm at 52. I mean, he was in
Wow.
shape. He had a wife, and he was an artist. He's a great guy. I'm just like he was one of those guys. Like when I met him, we had that long conversation. It's like I needed it because I looked up to him because he was older than me, but he gave me so much game and it was just so genuine. And I'm like, that's a real man. Like, I want to be around that energy. He wasn't braggadocious. He was very quiet, very to himself. I would see him and his wife all together. They parked right next to me in the garage, like, saw him in the gym. But I would have never thought that he would leave this earth in that way. But I do remember talking to him about trauma and pain growing up in New York and what that felt like. And so it was just like, damn, man, that was a good brother right there. I wish I had another chance to just talk to him because he gave me so much game in like those 27 minutes we spoke. It was like it did something
Yeah.
to me. And I think as men, I know I'm a man's man. Like I do that for other men, and I think more men want men like that. We want to be like that for everybody. Some people don't have the energy, some people don't have the capability. But I went to an event last week and it was probably like 50 women in there. We don't have that for men.
No, they don't because we've separated ourselves. It's the
Yeah.
right, it's almost the toxic masculine groups where it's
Hmm.
like all the men together not tapping into their feminine side, and then we have the toxic feminine groups and we're not combining the two. And the reason why men are feeling safe in your presence, Eric, is because you have a balance of your masculine and feminine. It's why
Yeah.
Natalie and I come across men who are like so easy to put their wall down and they want to tap deeper into this because we're
Hmm.
giving them that feminine,
Hmm.
and we need to all come together because we all need the balance of it,
You know
right?
what's so funny about women? I love women so much because women are just so good at being women, right? It could be, I just got a flash at, no, because it could be something simple. Say you at a guy event, a male event, and say you're speakers on stage, a panelist, right? And then you're talking to a guy, he's like, man, I really like your speech, and you're looking at him like, oh, that's a nice shirt. Do you know by you saying, oh, that's a nice shirt, that changes so much cellular activation in his body because he
Yeah.
like, oh shit, thank you. Because he's not expecting it, right? When you're not expecting it and you get it from a woman that he's inspired by, because clearly he came up to you because you was on stage talking about all these beautiful things, you made him feel good about himself. I tell people this all the time. Listen, all of us come from women. So if a man thinks he has more power than a woman can really tap into, he don't really understand where he comes from, right? You come from the womb of a woman. So
Yeah.
women are usually quicker they can get to their divine self, God created the universe creator in their own essence because they're naturally in that space. We got to kind of move through more, boundaries to get there. But we just don't know how to receive from women if we're not giving to them or
Mm,
Yeah.
taking from them. You get it?
Yeah.
We don't know
But
how to
women are,
receive.
well, and women aren't, uh, we now live in a culture where it's like women have to be hyper independent, or that's what we're told, right? You don't need a
Yeah.
man, make your own money, you don't want to rely on anybody. And then, it's biologically part of men wanting to provide. And,
Hmm.
all these powerhouse women are just out here being like, we don't need anything from anyone. Right?
You know what's so interesting about that is I think at the end of the day, a woman still does want it. Even though
Yes.
they're being out there, they're being the boss, I've been that before.
Yes.
And you still at night are like, I wish there was someone with me in this, or I wish there was someone
Yes.
celebrating this with me. And I think there's a lot of women who think that men just aren't rising to the occasion, right? And so
Exactly.
that's why I love everything you're saying, Eric, because it's almost like you're exposing, like, here's what men are actually really going through, and that
Hmm.
it's almost like we get to give each other the invitation of, hey, I
Yeah.
see you and I'm going to support you and encourage you. And if the men then can also like put their guard down and say, actually, yeah, I'm feeling this way too. And I want to step
Yes.
into this. And I've been in containers where it is co-ed and it's so beautiful when both people like have their hands out to each other essentially and are like, here's what I can give to you. Here's what I can give to
Yeah.
you. And we can both be really vulnerable in sharing our needs because I think at the end of the day, like no one is wanting to be alone. People are yes, wanting to be independent and feel like they can do something on their own, not just financially, but like actually live out their soul purpose and their soul calling without being intimidating to the opposite sex, right? Like if there is
Hmm.
this rise
Yes.
in women being these bad bitch bosses or whatever, that it's like the man doesn't have to feel less than. And I think that
Hmm.
same thing with the men working, it's like, well, the woman can rise too. So there's this coming into balance and equality of like, can we both be in our higher selves, whatever that looks like for us? Because maybe the higher self is someone being a dad and the mom working, or vice versa,
Yes.
right? So it's like being able to know yourself and know here is my purpose, and also be okay with sometimes it's the other person's turn, sometimes it's my turn, right? Like there's always
Hmm.
going to be that little push and pull and potentially sacrifice and compromise, and being okay that maybe one person's in the spotlight at one point and then it switches gears. But as long as there's communication and deep knowingness and still creating that line of like respect is that foundation for both parties at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Respect and communication and trust, right? It's like, okay, I know you're going to go out and live your purpose, but I still trust you. Like, I don't have to be insecure. You're not going to meet someone else, or I'm not going to be insecure because this guy flirted with you or this girl flirted with you. That it's like we got our strength together, and I know and trust who you are, that I don't have to be insecure in myself because of any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Balance. Libra scales.
That's
Yes, the
right.
scales.
And it's like when you're with someone, you're on the same team. So how can we help each other get to where we both want to go?
Mm,
Yes.
And of course, some of us might have to take turns, but I believe you can have your turn at the same time. Now, if you have kids and stuff, yeah, that's a sacrifice. But if you truly want to be in a partnership and grow and help each other grow, it will happen. I think sometimes, and listen, this is important, it's coming to me. What has happened over the years, most people that's in the powerful position always choose the lesser partner, right? So men for so many years, I would say 65%, 70, I'll give us a little bit of leeway, have chosen partners. If you have all the money and you're the breadwinner, someone you can control, someone you probably
Mm,
can manipulate, someone who's not as adequate or as smart as you, right? That you control them. Same for women that have it all. They usually get partners they can take care of, they can manipulate, or they can control. And granted, all parties are safe if they're happy, right? But I don't think people are picking partners based on if we're equal. They're looking at, like, you see relationships where some men are 10, 12 years older than their girlfriends or wives, right? Why do they feel safe with a younger woman? I don't really think it's looks. I think it's something else going on psychologically, right?
yeah.
And then there's women who have it all who pick men. Let's say a evolved woman, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and then she picks a guy who has the look, who has the vibe, but he doesn't have the mindset or can't really compete at her level. So it's interesting how what we choose based on what we have and who we are, and we never really look at it as, you know what I'm saying? Like it's an unconscious thing, and I'm trying to figure out why is it that way, but it is that way, you know,
Yeah.
by choice.
Yeah. So, Natalie, what sort of, I mean, astrology, we love all this stuff. I mean, men need to be forever learning, just like women are, right? They need to put in the effort of self discovery and figure out their astrology and numerology and all the things so that they can start to understand themselves. Do you have any sort of, given the shift that's happening in astrology right now, any tips that
Yeah,
you
I
can?
mean, honestly, just start to know if you can know your sun, moon, and rising. And I think it's really important to know your Venus placement. Like, and I'm going to add in one more, your North Node. Like, if you can know these five placements, that will be, I mean, everyone knows their sun sign, it's your birthday, right? But if you go deeper and you really understand that moon sign, this will be a game changer because it will help you to understand your emotions and learn it of your partner, you know, or learn it of anyone else that you are surrounded by. Because when you learn these things and you learn these archetypes, you can understand, oh, this person has this thing. They're actually not, you know, super needy. They just are. Even speak to that too. I know for me as a Leo rising, it's like I have been like, hey, I need like some words of affirmation, or I need some compliments, or you know, we need these things, and it just becomes this fun game rather than like, oh my god, I have to give this person this attention, or I have to do this and this for them. It's kind of like this cheat code to love languages, and you're able to see that, and then you also see, okay, here's what I need, or here's why, you know, I'm super emotional, or why I sometimes have my guard up, or I, you know, am so driven and like work, or, you know, my purpose is the most important thing to me. When you can learn your moon, which is the emotions, the deep needs, the insecurities, where you go when you're stressed, when you learn the rising sign, which is what you're literally rising into, and also it's the masks that we wear. When you learn your North Node, which is like the destiny point of like when you step more into that archetype, other magical things will just like fall into place for you. And then again, your sun sign, which is just who you are. It's like the essence of who you are and all of that. And then your Venus, what you're looking for in love. Those things are going to be so supportive to understanding yourself. And, you know, if we also talk about relationships, knowing your Mercury sign is really important too, because that can help you learn how to communicate to get your point across. And you can also,
Mm,
especially within partnership, learn, okay, here's how my person communicates, and maybe I'm just not hearing it because they're saying it in a way that doesn't necessarily naturally resonate with me, but I can start to understand that this is just how they speak or how they talk, and I have to either, you know, be open to receiving it in a certain different way, or I have to, you know, kind of pry a little bit more out of them. So really understanding these things in your chart are going to be so beneficial to just, you learning about you and knowing that also we are in this new age, like literally Pluto in Aquarius. Also, we have Saturn, which is in Pisces, which is bringing this deeper layer of seriousness and commitment to our higher selves, to being kind of in this in-between world of, you know, the 3D reality that we're in with the 5D, with the actual cosmos, right? With kind of this cosmic connection. And whenever Saturn moves through a sign, it's asking us to become the masters of that. And before we become the master, we have to see, well, what's not working. So even like this conversation, we're seeing, well, this is what's potentially or obviously not working. And here's how we can then move into mastery by actually
Yeah.
creating some change around that.
So I'm curious, can you give me a quick synopsis? My Venus is Taurus, my Sun is Pisces, my Libra rising, and my Moon is Sag. My North Node is Pisces.
Yeah, I
So
love
what
this.
would that be? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so well, first of all, you having your sun and your north node in Pisces means that who you are, like how the world sees you, how you embody this Pisces energy is also very aligned towards your destiny. That no matter what, you are really here to seek truth. You are here to
Yeah.
seek spirituality. And because your north node is there, we always want to look to our north node as, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? So there is this area of you learning all of the things that have to do with Pisces. So you're probably going to have to go through, and you can say if you've gone through this in your past, other people who have had escapism, addiction, these issues with like not actually confronting and facing the truth, but you get to be that person because you saw that. And maybe, did you have any of that like growing up or in your childhood or anything, like parents
Not
or family or anything like that? Were you
not facing the truth or facing the truth or escapism. All
escapism?
of it.
All of it?
I think I escaped it a lot from my childhood. So the stuff I saw growing up was negative, so I was the opposite. So that's how
Yeah.
I escaped it. You know, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna sell drugs, I'm not gonna smoke weed, I'm not gonna do that, you know, like so I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna do the opposite. And then I think I didn't really like confrontation too much. And then I got to a point where I'm like, all right, my Capricorn placements just come like, hey, so check this out, right? Can't do
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. Well, and so that's the things that you were in an environment where people were doing these things that promote escapism, right? Selling drugs, smoking weed, right? They're checking out or they're saying, I'm going to
Yeah,
do this thing that is actually running away from actually using my gifts. And so
yeah,
then you said, I'm going to go for the higher truth because there are two sides of Pisces. It's either the spiritual leader or the drug addict, usually. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
kind of,
yeah, yeah,
unfortunately, like there's like two worlds there.
yeah,
So you went towards that, and you also went towards that because not just your sun is there, but your north node. It was like, I'm
got it.
going in the higher octave of this direction. And then when
Yeah.
we also pull your moon in Sagittarius into the mix, the moon in Sagittarius is like, what's the truth? Like, who am I really? Like, I got to be
Right,
free,
right, right.
right? On this
Yeah.
quest where it's the arrow, shooting the arrow, and like, I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm just going to follow it and like do something different. And it's really about breaking free from any type of shackles. So you probably saw like, oh, this type of lifestyle, I see the prison that it creates, and I need to
Mhm.
be free of all of this. So that was your need. And you are a forever student, a forever teacher as well, because that's that energy of Sagittarius. You're always going to be learning. You're always going to be,
Mhm.
how is it that I can know more of who I am and express that as well, because it's that Sagittarius fire. And then the Libra rising pulls it all in, where there is this like coming together in conjunction of, okay, now I've done this. Now, like, am I in my masculine? Am I in my feminine? How do I do this? And then people see you as that. And there's also this side, Libra is very fun. It's fun, it's playful, it's like, it's ruled by Venus. So it loves beauty, it loves beautiful things. Like you were literally on The Bachelor, right? It's like, or The
Yeah,
Bachelorette.
yeah.
It's like, how do we bring
Mhm.
in this essence of let's romanticize life as well and do it with this like big dreamy picture, which, Pisces always wants to romanticize life too. Yeah, dancing in the chair, all the things. And then you have your Venus and Taurus, and Venus is the way that you love. So you love things that feel good. Like you also love beauty. You're like, give me the food, give me the fitness, give me the F word, give me the like, all the things like you want to enjoy, because Taurus is very sensual and it's very grounded and it's very like, okay, how do I take whatever it is that I can build and create and make something beautiful, whether that is a meal, whether that is, a body like with actual fitness, right? Whether that is, yeah, he's showing the big guns here,
Yes.
whether that is your outfit, your space, all the things. And it's romantic. So you kind of have all of these pieces of you that when you accept that you are this spiritual person, that you are this, I know you're a hopeless romantic. Like I can tell from knowing those placements in you, and that you're a forever traveler and that you need to be feeling this sense of freedom and this sense of deep knowing and understanding. Like you're going to ask questions. You're going to get to the point, right?
You
Like
get to the root.
yeah, we're getting to the
Yeah.
root there. Yeah. Yeah.
So fellas, listening, ladies, if you got a man, you got a brother, you need to tap into this podcast and you need to hit up Natalie so she can just give you what she gave me, because I'm the guinea pig. I'm the example. You see how she just poured into me because I asked her questions? Sag move, spirituality. And I think that is what men really want right there. We want the truth
Yes.
of who we are, because when we can find out who we are, we can embody that more with love and not fear. I love beautiful things. I love food. I love travel. I want the truth. I love working out. I love praying. I love meditating. I love love. I love having a good time. I'm all about fairness. Are you okay? I love the nurture. Like I love all, but that's who I am. So it's easy for me to be in this position and be wherever I want to be in the moment because I know who I am when everyone leaves, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's why, as men, this is a container, especially through astrology, that you can utilize to benefit you knowing who you are on a deeper level. So you can kind of really see in a physical world where you're off and where you need to be on. Because sometimes when we create these structures in our mind based on what the world tells us, because to be clear, everyone's not a father, everyone's not a husband, everyone's not a mom, everyone's not a wife. And there's no knock to any and everybody. It's just the truth. And a lot of things in our charts will, can you be a mom? Can you be a wife? Can you be a father? Yeah, yes. But some people just are who they are. Some people are just artists at heart. Some people are speakers at heart. Some people are really maternal. Some people are really great at making money. Some people are really great at working. So when you get to the root of you, life is such a beautiful breakthrough. So this was great,
Yeah.
ladies. I think
It
we
was
got
so good.
Amen.
And also the men need to hire a mentor, right? Don't
Yes.
do it on your own. You need to find
Yeah.
a safe space. Make
Safe
it
space.
happen for you. Yeah. This was great. We're going to do it again. And yeah, thank you both.
Thank
Love,
you.
love. This was
So
great.
fun.
Thank you for joining me on the Hiding in Plain Sight podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. Feedback and episode ideas helps us reach more listeners. I would love to connect with you further. You can visit my website at lindseymazza.com and add me on Instagram at Lindsey D. Mazza. Until next time, keep sharing your stories and vulnerabilities because one story at a time connects us all.